Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidil mursaleen, nabiyyina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, welcome to Ask Huda. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, where we entertain all your questions about Islam, whether it pertains to rulings or beliefs or even matters of spirituality and the heart. I have with me our Shaykh, Dr. Mohamed Salah, and together we will be taking your calls and answering your questions, and also the questions that come via email. The email address is ask@huda.tv, and of course our numbers will be shown inshallah right in front of your screen. So please dial that number and email us to get your questions answered. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh Muhammad, how are you?
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, and thank you so much.
No problem, inshallah, Shaykh. Shaykh, a question we have from Brother Abdul Hamid. He asks, is it wrong to add ta'ala to the salam when we're saying assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh, or just saying assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala? Is this a bid'ah? Is there anything wrong with this?
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala nabiyyihi wa mustafah nabiyina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walah. All praise due to Allah. We praise Him and we seek His help. Whomsoever Allah guides is the truly guided one, and whomsoever Allah leaves astray, no one can show him guidance. ثم أما بعد. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Adam alayhi salam, He ordered him to go to a gathering of the angels to greet them, and He ordered him to listen to their greeting and learn from them. So He approached them and He said, Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. So they replied back to Him, Wa alayka assalam wa rahmatullah, by increasing wa rahmatullah, peace, and may peace and blessings and Allah's mercy be upon you. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam once was sitting in a gathering, and this hadith is narrated by Imran ibn Husayn, may Allah be pleased with him, and somebody walked in and said Assalamu alaikum. So Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam replied the same, and when the man sat down he said 10, 10. Then another person walked in and said Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam replied back to him and said 20. And the third person said, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The Prophet ﷺ replied back to him, and the man sat and he said 30, meaning for saying Assalamu alaikum 10 good deeds, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, by adding wa rahmatullah you receive 20, and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh you receive 30 good deeds. So each segment have 10 hasanat or good deeds. There is no presence for the word ta'ala, even though the word ta'ala is prescribed, ta'ala Allahu amma yasifun. The word ta'ala means above all. He is Allah, above all what they describe to Him or unto Him. He is the Most High. So if somebody says it occasionally, Allahu ta'ala, if you say Allahu ta'ala in general, there is no problem. But when you say it in the salam, occasionally, there is no problem as well. The problem is when you insist on adding that in every time to the salam, because as-salam, our greeting, is a greeting that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught Adam and taught Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and it is a greeting of Ahlul Jannah. So it is always best to stick to the text. There are many adhkar which are mutlaq dhikr. You can just say whatever you want to say with any number. But for the dhikr or the greeting which is prescribed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through teaching Adam via the angels, one should stick to the original text, which is Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. But again, if somebody said Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh, occasionally there is no problem. The problem if you add it on regular basis.
Okay, Jazakallah khairan, Shaykh. So we had a question from Sister Anshin, and she asked a very interesting question. She asked, are there any particular du'as for improving one's memory, particularly in remembering the Quran or for general life?
Not that I know of. There is no particular dua for improving one's memory, but we know that exercise is very important in order to maintain anything. And how would you exercise with regards to improving your memory? By reading a lot and trying to memorize a lot. So the more you try to memorize, that increases your memory. If you're talking about memory with regards to memorizing the Quran and it's a bit hard, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in verse number 282, Al-Baqarah, وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَيُعَلِّمُكُمُ اللَّهِ. The best practice is to be obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in order to clarify your memory from the trash.
Yes.
Delete all the trash and focus on what's really important. As I mentioned in this program before, I have a colleague who's a big sheikh now, mashallah. When he went to study in Medina initially, memorizing the Quran for him was very, very hard. So he consulted with a great sheikh in the Haram. And he said, do you listen to music and songs? He says, yes, as a matter of fact, I like to phrase songs and sing as well. He said, that's why it is impossible for the Quran and music to be combined in the heart of a person or in the mind. So once he gave up on that, he said, immediately I found it very easy for me to memorize the great portions of the Quran, and finally he memorized the entire Quran. There are particular foods that the physicians prescribe in order to increase the memory. I recall, for instance, eating raisin is very good with regards to improving one's memory.
MashaAllah, Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. We have Sister Sakina on the line from United Arab Emirates. Assalamu alaikum, Sister.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Welcome to the show.
Firstly, I'd like to say Jazakumullah khair, Sheikh, for the questions that you answer for me all the time, alhamdulillah. They help me a lot.
Alhamdulillah.
But unfortunately, I asked the question about the bangles the other day and belts.
Yes.
I didn't hear that answer because I had left the room.
Okay, let me ask you, Sakina, are you talking about popping your fingers, for instance?
No, like there's jewelry that makes sound sometimes.
Okay. Well, the Quran says, وَلَا يَضْرِبْنَ بِأَرْجُلِهِنَّ لِيُعْلَمَ مَا يُخْفِينَ مِنْ زِينَتِهِنَّ. It is prohibited for women to strike with their anklets. They used to wear anklets in the past, and when they strike with them with their foot stamp, what happens? It produces a sound, so it declares the presence of a female. And nowadays they don't wear the anklets, but they wear a high heel. And if you're walking on the marble or a slab or whatever, you can tell that this is a woman. And obviously that sound, everybody knows that sound has some sort of temptation. So An-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam directs us that women should cover up properly, and amongst covering properly is not to wear anything that is attractive to men who are not her mahram nor her husband.
Okay, Jazakallah khairan. That's yes, we were going to actually answer that question. We had it on the list here, but obviously we have to stick to the order. We have to be fair to the viewers who do call previously. Sheikh, there was a question from Sister Taslima in Saudi Arabia. Her son is 20 years old and is very busy in dawah, mashallah. And the thing is that he only prays 8 rak'ah with the Imam, and the Imam in India, where he's based, they pray 21 rak'ahs for the entire Taraweeh, including Witr. He only prays 8 rak'ah and then he goes. So she was wondering what is better for him. Is it better for him to complete the salah with the Imam? And also, she fears that he's getting too much involved in dawah work and fears that he may be doing it to the detriment of his dunyawi studies, for his non-religious studies. So what advice can you give for this?
Okay, first of all, with regards to the Taraweeh prayer, the entire prayer is voluntary. It's nafl or tatawwa. So if somebody prayed 2, 4 or 6 units and he has to be dismissed or leave for study or school, this is fair enough, no problem. If he wants to resume and pray at home whenever he finishes his task or work, that too is okay. It is not obligatory to offer the Taraweeh in congregation. Bottom line, it is highly recommended because the Prophet ﷺ said, it is best to continue the prayer with the Imam until he finishes, since the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man صلى مع إمامه حتى ينصرف كتب له قيام ليلة." We may pray for an hour or an hour and a half, but if you pray this entire Taraweeh with the Imam until he finishes, even the Witr, you will receive the reward of praying for the entire night, which may be 11, 12 or 13 hours based on the length of the night. As far as the problem that you got with your son, this is what we call it
A good problem. A good problem to have.
A good and an excellent problem to have a son or a daughter who is a college student, a teenager, and he is religiously motivated and directed, and he's a devout worshipper. My main concern and my prayer, I'm asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make my children like that. If your son is busy with da'wah, I guarantee that he will be successful in both deen and dunya. He will be successful in his school and his study. But if he's diverted away from the deen, then the alternative will take place. Having a relationship with girls, hanging around with a bad company. So keep him where he is at right now. This is good for him and it is good for you. And you're saying that he prays Taraweeh, but he knows also that there is some time where he has to withdraw in order to do his homework. So I believe that your son, alhamdulillah, shukrullah, is a wise kid and he's keeping balance. Just keep praying for him. رَبِّ اجْعَلْنِي مُقِيمَ الصَّلَاةِ وَمِنْ ذُرِّيَّتِي رَبَّنَا وَتَقَبَّلْ دُعَاء.
MashaAllah. What is better than the dua of Ibrahim alayhi salam? Brother Ahmed from Saudi Arabia, he asked, is khula, the divorce which is initiated by the wife as opposed to the husband, which is talaq, is it revocable? Yani, can she take it back and say to the...
No. First of all, khula is different than divorce in many aspects. Khula is initiated by the wife for a valid reason, because if a woman asks for a divorce without a legitimate cause, and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the fragrance of paradise will be prohibited for her. And she's really cursed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if she has no reason. But if there is a legitimate reason, such as life is impossible, and there are many cases where really the woman does not tolerate seeing the man, or she finds out that the man is doing something bad and he does not repent, nor does he want to repent, or bad habits. So the case will be initiated and presented before the court. So if the judge decides for her and she pays whatever dowry that she collected from him, that's called khula, similar to fasakh, separation, but it's not a divorce in many ways. Number one, it's irrevocable. And that's why the iddah is only one haida. It is not 3 quru, like in the case of divorce. In the case of divorce, if it is the first or the second divorce, the man has the right to reverse this divorce and ask his wife to return back to his house, even without her consent. But in the case of the khula, it's a complete separation. And according to the more right view, the iddah in this case, since the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to Thabit ibn Qais' wife, to take the iddah one haida, one period, one menstruation, in order to verify that she's not pregnant. She doesn't have to wait for the 3 months or the 3 periods. So that's why it's irrevocable and it's not similar to divorce. It's only similar because it's a separation. What if they both wish to reconcile? Then it will be required to process a new marriage contract, a new dowry, a new ijab and qabul, and obviously the consent of her guardian. Wallahu a'lam.
And does she have to marry somebody else before getting back with the husband?
Well, if this is not a divorce, and it's not the third divorce, then it is mere separation, and she may marry him.
Good. Jazakallah khairan for that clarification. We have Sister Shabana on the line from United Arab Emirates. Assalamu alaikum, sister. Welcome to the program.
Walaikum salam.
Yes.
Ramadan Kareem to all of you. And my question is that my husband wants to invest in the stock market, that's the Indian stock market. I wanted to know, like, is there income coming from it, or dividend or something? Is it the rosy is halal or haram?
Okay, so
Sister Shabana, this is a very general question. I mean, that in order to say halal or haram, we have to figure out what is he investing in exactly, what stocks or shares that he is buying in technology or in I'm sorry?
He's buying a long-term share and he would sell it after 2 years.
I'm not talking about the process of buying and selling, because buying and selling is permissible, and investing in the stock market is permissible with conditions that the goods that you're buying or the stocks that you're buying or the shares that you're possessing must be in a lawful business. Must be in a lawful business. So if somebody is buying a stock or a share in the media, producing movies and series and all of that, this is definitely haram. Producing video clips and songs and arranging parties, this is haram. In a beer company, cigarette company, this is also haram. But in a clothing company, producing halal lawful clothes, in furniture company, or stocks in internet business, or in technology, or in automobiles. So selling and buying in these shares is permissible.
Okay, Jazakallah khairan for the question, Sister Shabana. Brother Adam from Nigeria, he asked, again related, this is another question related to divorce. He asked, what is the correct opinion regarding divorcing 3 times in one sitting or in 3 separate sittings? Which is the correct opinion? And what happens if the husband takes his wife back during this time?
If it is in 3 separate sittings, there is a general consensus, because the Quran does not leave any room to suggest or predict or guess. فإن طلقها فلا تحل له من بعد حتى تنكح زوجا غيره. This is the طلاق بائن, irrevocable, and this is it. He cannot even ask her to come back, even if they both agree, and even if they would like to process a new marriage contract, because she has to marry somebody else, a complete marriage with consummation. And if, without pre-arranging, that the second husband decided to divorce her and the iddah is over, and the first was interested, they start over. But if the person utters the 3 divorces in the same sitting, if his intention is to emphasize the divorce and he only means one, then this is one. But if he means you're divorced, you're divorced, you're divorced, I really mean to divorce you eternally, then al-Jumhur say this divorce falls as 3 and irrevocable or irreversible. Talaqun ba'in. I mentioned before that Ibn al-Qayyim and Ibn Taymiyyah, his professor or teacher, are of the view that if the person says the 3 divorces in the same sitting, they count as one. But the opinion of al-Jumhur, which is adopted by the companions from the time of Umar ibn Khattab and up, is that if the person consumes the 3 divorces in the same sitting, they fall as 3 and therefore effective.
Right, so that's the majority opinion then. Okay, Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. We have Brother Yusuf from Nigeria on the line. Assalamu alaikum, Yusuf. Welcome to the program.
I have a question to ask.
Yes, please, go ahead.
My question is that if a brother lost his loved one and you want to go and condole him, according to traditions of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam,
Brother, can you repeat your question? The line seems to be a bit muffled from your end. Can you please just repeat that one more time, please? Brother Yusuf, are you still there? Okay, the brother's been cut off. I didn't catch much of that question. But regarding, inshallah, if Brother Yusuf can ring again, inshallah we can take your question again, inshallah ta'ala, or you could email us alternatively. Sheikh, regarding giving zakat to the descendants of the Prophet ﷺ, there are people who call themselves Sayyid or Sharif, depending on which son of Ali.
It is not permissible to give a zakat to the Prophet ﷺ or any of his family members, Al-Talib and Al-Aqil. And Nabi ﷺ forbade them from accepting the zakat, and he said, إِنَّهَا مِنْ أَوْسَاخِ النَّاسِ.
Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. We have Sister Safiya on the line from Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum, Sister.
Alaikum salam. I have 3 questions.
Yes, please go ahead, Sister.
My first question is, can a man force his wife to wear a niqab?
Okay.
My second question is, if a man has 2 wives, and probably is the day for the first wife, can he visit his other wife just to see how she's doing?
Okay, so if he's got 2 wives, then can he with permission of the first wife or the second wife go and see the other wife? Is that what you're saying, to see how she's doing?
Yes.
Okay.
And then if you buy, for instance, a product for, you're into business, and you buy a product for $50, for instance, how much profit are you allowed to put on that product?
Okay.
Good. Okay, Hamza, very clear.
Jazakallahu khairan.
Thank you very much. Very succinctly put and very clear questions, inshallah. So, Brother Sami from the United States, he asked a question regarding ingredients which are derived from animals but may have been changed during some chemical process. So, for example, we'll see in the UK, because a brother lives in the United Kingdom, where you have E-numbers, they're codes for certain products, and some of them are animal derived. So are these halal?
It depends on the source. because when I say animals, beef is an animal, sheep is an animal, camel is an animal, right? So whatever is derived from such animals is permissible. But if it is derived from pork or pig, then in this condition it is prohibited. He's asking about if there has been a condition or a state of transformation where the ingredients have been transformed, which in fiqh is known as al-istihala. Let me give you a better example in order to understand. Wine is definitely haram, and according to the Jumhur is najis as well, impure to touch and to deal with, correct? What if this khamr by itself for long staying turn into vinegar? That happens. This vinegar is absolutely permissible to use, to apply to the food and cook with it and to use it or consume it, and it is halal and it is pure. While it's coming from an impure source and from a haram source, but because vinegar is something completely different than alcohol.
Right.
So there has been a state of transformation.
Sure.
The transformation is in the chemical composition, in the bonds, in the structure. It looks completely different. But what we see when we say kosher, kosher does not necessarily mean halal, because in many products, yogurt, ice cream, where they use gelatin. Gelatin in America, more than 50% is from a pork or swine source. I don't know about Europe, but the percentage may even increase. Okay? So from the skin and the bones, boiling the skin and the bones of the swine or the pigs. Then it's mixed with other sources, other skin of other animals, whether halal or haram, killed or slaughtered, all together. There are companies which manufacture the gelatin, make them in dried sheets and sell them. So the other companies, such as the pharmaceutical companies or the food industries, they don't ask the company what is the source of the gelatin, unless if it is some particular companies where they basically nature made or vegetarian companies, so they don't take anything that is of animal source, whether halal or haram.
Of course, yes.
They collect gelatin from sea sources, etc. Then this is halal 100%. We don't have to worry about it. But if it is an animal source and coming from any non-Muslim country, you gotta understand that the gelatin is from pig, or more than 50%. Then it is haram. In Judaism, they have this concept of istihala or transformation as well. Even though pork is haram in Judaism as well as in Islam, and obviously in Christianity, but they have changed. Okay?
Absolutely, yes.
So they don't eat pork. They don't eat pork chops. They don't eat pork or pigs or pepperoni or anything like that.
Yes.
But if they give it a different name, it becomes halal. This is not the case in Islam. You give it a different name, you give it a different shape, as long as it maintains the same chemical structure, then there has not been any transformation or istihala, then it is still haram. Inshallah, one day I will bring a chart with the chemical structure of the gelatin, both before and after, in order to show that.
So in other words, just to clarify, Sheikh, so if it chemically transforms, then it's fine, but with pig, Islam does not consider anything transformed from a pig to be halal. Is that correct?
No, this is not what I said.
Okay.
If the transformation process have altered the structure of the product completely, then it may be used and it may be halal. But if it maintains, yes. So the determining factor whether there has been istihala or transformation or not.
Okay, Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. We have Abdul Latif on the line from United Arab Emirates. Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, Sheikh?
Alhamdulillah, thank you for waiting for so long.
Thank you. Sheikh, I went to i'tikaf, okay, I had intention for doing for 10 days, but they returned me because they said I was too young, because they have a rule from the awqaf over here that you're under 18 cannot do. So what is my next course of action for now?
Very interesting. So under 18 you cannot do i'tikaf, but you can smoke. Okay.
This is the state of our countries, unfortunately, nowadays, Sheikh.
It's okay. After this phone call, inshallah, I will answer Abdul Latif immediately, because he's in i'tikaf.
Yes, of course. Yes, so we have a brother from Nigeria on the phone. Assalamu alaikum. So brother Sami from Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum. Okay, no problem, inshallah. So Brother Sajid from
I will go to Abdul Latif immediately.
Oh, you're still waiting?
Inshallah.
Okay, no problem, inshallah.
With regards to your i'tikaf, Abdul Latif, may Allah bless you for your intention. I remember our very first i'tikaf, we were approximately 12 years old, and this is an experience that we'll never ever forget. That was a turning point in our lives. We used to study in Al-Azhar, the fiqh and the ahkam and the tajweed, but we were studying just for the exam. We would pass and get good grades. But when we performed i'tikaf with the shuyukh and they put our hands on the beautiful jewel and the treasure that we possess, which is the religious knowledge, we loved the deen. We loved seeking knowledge, and it was a turning point in our lives. Myself and many of our colleagues, may Allah bless our shuyukh.
Ameen.
So I would love and I would encourage the authorities to adopt and accommodate the youth, not to kick them out. Perhaps different states have different rules based on, Allah knows best about their regulations. It may be legitimate because of certain measures or precautions or accidents have happened, but if it is just regulating the i'tikaf, there is no age limit in Islam for i'tikaf, nor gender. A man and a woman can do i'tikaf in the masjid. A woman, of course, with the permission of her husband and in a safe company. But there is an alternative, Abdul Latif. Nowadays, for instance, in order to attend the program, I cannot be in i'tikaf. But when you go for Maghrib, you do your iftar in the masjid, and you stay for Taraweeh, and you hang around until Tahajjud, then you pray Fajr, and whenever they tell you go home, okay, you go home to sleep until, to take some rest, then go back to the masjid, you offer the prayers, and you sit. The only thing that you will be missing is your sleeping bag and pillow, but this is for the sake of Allah. So you don't have to do a full i'tikaf, but once you enter the masjid, you intend i'tikaf, and that will count for you, inshallah. And I'm pretty sure for your good and sincere intention, since you already took the initiative and you decided and you want to do i'tikaf and you will return, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will secure you a full reward, inshallah.
Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. Yes, we have Sister Kalima from Saudi Arabia on the line. Assalamu alaikum, sister.
Walaikum salam, Sheikh. I want to ask for a question. The victims in natural catastrophes like flood or rain, the victims who died, Muslims and non-Muslims, how come we make the dua for them? Can you explain this? You understand?
So basically you're asking about making dua for people who have suffered natural disasters like floods, tsunamis, earthquakes, how to make dua for them, whether they're Muslim or not.
Plane crash like this.
So whether they're Muslim or non-Muslim, how can we make dua for them? Is that your question? Okay, we got that question.
Yes, it is permissible even if they are non-Muslims. We should pray for peace for the entire world and everything that exists. We even pray for guidance for our enemies. We pray for guidance for everybody. You never know. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala open their hearts. Some people came to the Prophet ﷺ and asked him to pray against a certain tribe. So he said, Allahumma hdi dawsan wa ati bihim muslimin. So Allah guided them. You never know. So we're really required to make dua. And I would like to seize this opportunity before the end of Ramadan. Brothers and sisters, over 20 million Muslims in Pakistan who's been devastated over the past several years with the wars and with the terrorist activities and with the attack from foreign intelligences and all of that. They spread corruption on earth, and particularly in this beautiful Muslim country. Thousands of lives have been claimed through the natural disasters in the flood or otherwise. We pray for their welfare, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless them and their families, to feed them, to clothe them, to enrichen them, to cure them. And I would like to bring to your attention that your sadaqat will be definitely appreciated by Allah, particularly during the month of Ramadan. Please, please, please donate generously to our brothers and sisters in Pakistan. There are over 20 million people, and there is another wave of flood that's taken a great area of the land. The brothers and sisters who may be hearing me right now from Europe and the States, you're well better off than others. And I guess you guys pay tax. You can pay your taxes to Islamic organizations. You can pay your donations to Islamic organizations that will make sure that your money would reach to the hands of those who are entitled for it, and you can write it off your tax. So you hit two birds with one stone, and that is definitely permissible. Please donate generously. Your zakah, obligatory zakah, is valid to send it there. For sadaqatul fitr, zakatul fitr, if you don't have eligible people in your country or suffice them already, it can be sent to Pakistan as well. Voluntary charity, it can be also sent to Pakistan. And nowadays, it is also permissible to pay zakah in advance. Zakah of the next year or the next 2 years. Please, if you would like to make your zakah payment right now and send it to Pakistan via sound and reliable organizations. I don't know about governmental organizations because I always have concerns about that. But if there are people who would go and give the money to the hands of the poor, you go ahead and trust them. Wallahu a'lam.
Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh, for that answer. We're now going to take a short break, so please stay tuned and join us for the second part of Ask Huda. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
The Philosophy of Islamic Law, a program for restoring belief and trust within Muslims' mind and heart, and for re-establishing a true concept about Islamic rules for others.
Covering the manners in Islam that a Muslim is supposed to have in Islam.
There is a strong link between having good manners and piety. And then he said, I guarantee a dwelling in the highest rank of Jannah for the one who perfects his manner. That indeed, truthfulness leads to piety, to righteousness. And righteousness and piety leads to Jannah.
The Prophet ﷺ used to always maintain family ties.
Gentleness in Islam means to treat people with kindness and with tenderness.
Back to the Prophet. Join Sheikh Ammar in the program Back to the Prophet, wherein he teaches us practical lessons from the Prophet's life and how this can help us to overcome our challenges in the present.
We talk about the life example of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, seeking guidance for ourselves. In the early days after the revelation of the Holy Quran, the Muslims were greatly persecuted, so much so that quite a few Muslims had to leave Arabia and migrate to Africa to live among Ahl Kitab, Christian people who followed the gospel of Christ.
Back to the Prophet in Ramadan on Huda TV.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to the second part of our show and your show, Ask Huda. We had the numbers are to call if you want to get on live to this show on 00202 385 55 248 or 249, and of course you can email us at ask@huda.tv, where we will inshallah process your questions after the show. Sheikh, Brother Sajid from Oman, he asked a question about a practice that he's experienced, which is where people try to make the more apparent the mark of prostration on their foreheads. They try to exaggerate it, maybe making sajda on something hard, or maybe, I don't know what they do, or sandpaper, I don't know what they do with their foreheads. But maybe because they're talking about the ayah which talks about that, the ones who have athar of sujood, the effects of sujood on their forehead. Okay. What is the ruling regarding this?
Let's quote the ayah first. It is by the end of Surah Al-Fath, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his followers. He says, Muhammadur Rasulullah, وَالَّذِينَ مَعَهُ أَشِدَّاءُ عَلَى الْكُفَّارِ رُحَمَاءُ بَيْنَهُم. So the first trait is that his followers are stern against the disbelievers. They are very powerful. But among themselves, they are very merciful and soft-hearted. أشداء على الكفار رحماء بينهم. تراهم, whenever you see them, ركعا سجدا. They're always in a state of ibadah, either ruku', either sujood. Why? يبتغون فضلا من الله ورضوانا. They're seeking a blessing and a pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then another trait is سيماهم في وجوههم من أثر السجود. The marks cover their faces as a result of the sujood. Not this face mark which some people, if they keep brushing their forehead against the carpet or the rug and it develops a prayer mark, it has nothing to do with this. سيماهم في وجوههم من أثر السجود been explained by other ahadith that the Prophet ﷺ said that my ummah يدعون يوم القيامة غرا محجلين من أثر الوضوء. That the ummah of the Prophet ﷺ will be resurrected and called upon on the Day of Judgment with some marks of nur, of light, covering their body parts which they used to wash during wudu. Similar to an extremely black horse, then it has some white spots. It's so beautiful. So the body parts which you used to wash will be illuminating, light, shedding light on the Day of Judgment. سِيمَاهُمْ فِي وُجُوهِهِمْ on the Day of Judgment. Those who used to make sujood and bow down and prostrate themselves before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with humility, Allah will raise their ranks and will give them an honor and pride so that their faces will be shedding light and will be illuminating. And in the dunya, you can recognize the believer from the marks of the iman and righteousness over his face versus an alcoholic, versus an adulterer, versus a singer or a person who is indulged into sins day and night. So there is a meaning that their faces reflect the nature of their hearts, the goodness of their minds and intent. Not by brushing your forehead against the floor or against the prayer rug and developing this prayer mark, even though the person maybe steals or receives bribery or insults people or. It is a package. So if you go back to the verse of Surah Al-Fath, by the last verse of Surah Al-Fath, it would provide you with the detailed explanation of the description of Ashabul Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his followers.
Barakallahu feekum. We have Sister Hawa from Nigeria on the phone. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sister, if you've got your
I have 2 questions, please.
Sorry, sister, just before you carry on, I think your TV is on in the background. Could you please turn off the television so we can take your question properly? Because there's a bit of a delay and it'll cause some confusion, inshallah.
Okay, please, in a country of both Muslims and Christians, and the leader happens to be a Muslim, can he use the resources for both Islam and Christianity, like
sorry, sister, could you just repeat that again?
Sponsoring to Hajj and Jerusalem, can he do that or only Islam?
Okay, so your question is that in a country which consists of Muslims and non-Muslim citizens, can the Muslim ruler of that country, can he sponsor only the Muslims to do Hajj and these kind of things, and as opposed to the non-believers like Christians? Is that your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Or can he do that to the Christians too?
Can he sponsor Christians as well? Okay, we've got that question. Yes, we have Brother Sami, also from Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Sami.
Yes. Alaikum assalam.
Yes,
my
brother.
My question is, hello? Hello? Salaam
yes. Wa alaikum assalam. Yes, brother. Go ahead with your question, please.
Yes. Yes, my question is that I want to find out what is the position of Shia or Shiism in Islam.
So the question is, what is the position of the Shias in Islam? Yes?
Or yes, Shia or in Islam. Are they truly Muslims or not?
Okay.
If not, why? And if yes, why?
Okay. And
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh. Okay, so there's quite a broad question about Shias, the status of Shias in Islam, which inshallah, yes, we've noted that question down. Sheikh, we had a couple of questions from Brother Saeed in Algeria regarding Zakatul Fitr. Can Zakatul Fitr be paid in money, first of all? And secondly, can it be paid up to 10 to 15 days before Eid al-Fitr?
النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ordained zakat al-fitr or sadaqat al-fitr as a mean of purification for the fasting person and as a mean of feeding the poor on the Eid day. It must be paid before Salatul Eid, and it can be paid a day or two prior to the end of Ramadan. Its obligatory time is at sunset of the last day of Ramadan, or there is another view which is the dawn of the Eid day. But it is permissible to pay it in advance according to Hanafi, even from the first day of Ramadan, according to Shafi'i as well. There are some who say you can even pay it before Ramadan. But to be very moderate and to be in line with the spirit of the Sharia and the purpose of giving Sadaqatul Fitr, which is to feed the Masakin on the Eid day, you can take it a day or two earlier than the Eid day. So close to the 28th, 29th or the 30th of Ramadan, one can start taking out his Zakatul Fitr or Sadaqatul Fitr. The hadith says, صاع من تمر أو صاع من شعير أو صاع من زبيب. These are items which the Prophet ﷺ named. And a sa' is a measure that is equivalent to 2.4 kilogram of that particular food which people may need most. Rice is okay, even though it was not mentioned for instance. So somebody wants to pay macaroni. Okay?
Pasta, yes.
Pasta. It is okay, but you have to notice that the sa' or the measure of the macaroni or the pasta would be lighter than the sa' of rice. So you have to compensate that.
Right.
Okay?
Yes.
Via giving the exact weight, not just the measure, because a sa' is a measure.
Right.
So we'll go back to the value. Can, instead of giving food, because all the hadith specify that giving food, named even some grains and food. Can instead I give the value? Al-Jumhur of the Fuqaha, the vast majority of the Fuqaha and all the companions are of the view that no, you must stick to what the Prophet ﷺ said. Why? Because there is another zakah which is called Zakatul Mal, zakah on wealth, where you must pay it in cash. You're not allowed to replace it with food or clothes or any other items or furniture. So there is a zakah in cash, and there is a zakah in food, and there is a zakah on livestock. So it is best to stick to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala pointed and designated. Al-Imam Abu Hanifa, yet may Allah have mercy on him, is of the view that it is permissible to give the value. So if 2.4 kilogram of rice or raisin or whatever is worth 7 pounds or $2, or in the States $7-8, so he said it is permissible because the hikmah. This is what his analysis is. What is the purpose of the zakah? Is to suffice the need of the poor. So if the poor is more interested in cash or in money, then give him what benefits him most. So I come out of this confusion. There is no confusion, because I definitely go with the opinion of the vast majority and the Jumhur. But I come out of this difference of opinion and say, well, I know that there are certain people who definitely need the food, and certain people need otherwise. And there are organizations which collect the zakah fund, Sadaqatul Fitr, and redistribute it. So how much is my zakah worth? $50, $70. I give them to that organization, and they are in charge of buying food. Like now with the flood in Pakistan, people would love to collect this food, right?
Yes.
They're waiting for the United Nations to remember them by some leftover. So if all the ummah paid their zakatul fitr and assist them and all the poor, I believe that you would not find any person who's in need for food or grains.
Absolutely. Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. We have Brother Abu Omar on the line from Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum, brother. Brother Abu Omar, assalamu alaikum. I think his voice... Okay, unfortunately, Brother Abu Umar is cut off. Brother Muhammad from Saudi Arabia, he asked, can we make dua in our own language, inside and outside of salah, whilst making sujood?
Yes, you can, inside or outside salah. If there is a dua that is already phrased or presented in the Quran, then it is best for Arab and non-Arab as well to recite it. I want to pray for my family. رَبَّنَا هَبْ لَنَا مِنْ أَزْوَاجِنَا وَذُرِّيَّتِنَا قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ وَاجْعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا. I want to pray for welfare and for a good future, for a good return. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا وَآتِنَا مَا وَعَدتَّنَا عَلَى رُسُلِكَ وَلَا تُخْزِنَا يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ إِنَّكَ لَا تُخْلِفُ الْمِيعَادَ. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. I want to regret my sin and want to repent. رَبَّنَا إِنَّنَا ظَلَمْنَا أَنفُسَنَا ظُلْمًا كَثِيرًا فَاغْفِرْ لَنَا فَإِنَّهُ لَا يَغْفِرُ الذُّنُوبَ إِلَّا أَنْتَ, etc. So if there is a dua that's phrased either in the Quran or in the Sunnah, recite it. It is best. This is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught us. The beautiful last verse of Surah Al-Baqarah, رَبَّنَا لَا تُؤَاخِذْنَا إِن نَّسِينَا أَوْ أَخْطَأْنَا رَبَّنَا وَلَا تَحْمِلْ عَلَيْنَا إِصْرًا, etc. to the end of the surah. But somebody is about to begin a business, so he prays Salatul Istikhara and he knows the dua, but he doesn't know how to name the business in Arabic. Name it in your own language. It doesn't matter. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who found the languages, and He's the one who taught us how to speak. وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. He's the one who taught Adam initially all the names, letters and languages.
So in Fard and Nafil Salah, there's no problem in doing that. Jazakallah khairan, Shaykh. Sister Wafat in Egypt, she asked, what is the correct way to address a scholar? Fadilat Shaykh.
Too bad and too late, because we're running out of time. We need a series to speak about the etiquette of seeking knowledge. And the best source of that is obviously how the Prophet ﷺ taught his companions, and how did they excuse me, how did they deal with the Prophet ﷺ, and similarly our predecessors. But in brief, I think the sister was saying about addressing the Shaykh, particularly how to address him. And she's saying that, is it okay to call the Shaykh by his name? Obviously, these are some awful Western traditions, where there is no respect whatsoever for elders, or the scholars, or the shuyukh. You go to somebody and you name him by the name. You say, so and so, what is the hukm of this and this and that? It may be he's older than you, or he has a higher rank than you in knowledge. And this is not proper, of course. That the person must humble himself and go back to Surah Al-Kahf and look at Musa alayhi salam. Musa has a greater value because he's a prophet, but because he was commanded to follow somebody to learn from him, and this person who was not even a prophet nor a messenger was a abdun salih. When Musa alayhi salam met him, what did he say? He said, هل أتبعك على أن تعلمني مما علمت رشدا. Look at that. Look at the question. Please go back to it, and I discussed this in details in the program of correct recitation. هل أتبعك. He was asking him, may I? This is Musa alayhi salam, Kalimullah. Allah did not speak directly to Al-Khidr, but he spoke to Musa alayhi salam. Yet Musa is seeking knowledge from whom? From Al-Khidr. Hal, please, may I? Would you please allow me to do what? To follow you. Musa, to follow Al-Khidr. Why? In order to learn some of your righteous knowledge. تعلمني مما علمت رشدا. So there is a list of etiquette, but unfortunately the director is telling me that we're out of time and out of etiquette. I have to comply and cease. Until next time, I leave you in peace. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah khairan, Shaykh. I'd like to first thank Shaykh Mohamed Salah for answering your questions and also educating me whilst I listen to them present those questions. And please remember that you can email us at ask@huda.tv. Please also support the channel. This is your channel, and alhamdulillah, we all get benefit from this channel, both viewers as well as the people and the staff who work here. So please send an email to support@huda.tv if you've got any ideas at all about how you can help. And of course, please visit our website, which is just being revamped. You see the adverts in between the programs, which talk about the newly revamped website, which is found at www.huda.tv. all that ends for me to say is to inshallah see you same time, same place tomorrow, bidhnillahi ta'ala, and to end with subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. See you tomorrow inshallah.
If my love is attached to thee, then from sins I will be free. Each time my heart will beat, your name will resound with heat. Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test.